You're listening to Children of the Watch. I'm Mac Lacey.
And I'm Alex Maxwell, and today we are breaking down the first 3 episodes of Andor Season 2.
Boom!
Let's go, dude! If you're new to our podcast, we break down every single episode of Star Wars television, scene by scene, to analyze the story, find comfort Easter eggs, and explain how it all connects to the larger Star Wars universe. And maybe you've only watched 1 episode of Andor so far. Don't tune out yet, because I'm going to explain what you need to do. Maybe you've only seen the first 2 and you haven't watched the final one that's coming later or something like that. Here's how it's going to work. We're going to give our general overall thoughts of the entire arc, and then we're going to jump into our episode by episode breakdowns. And as we discuss each episode, we will only focus on that particular episode. So if you want to jump to episode 1 right now, there's going to be timestamps in the description. And when you finish all 3 episodes, you can come back and jump back and forth and listen to the entire discussion. Because I know that for some people, it's going to be hard to watch all 3 episodes.
Yeah.
In one sitting. So we want to provide that for you. But what we are about to do is discuss overall thoughts. So if you want to go ahead and go into the notes in your podcast app and see where the discussion for episode 1 begins, you can do that right now. But I say we jump into our overall thoughts. Mac, Sargona Tima.
Yep. The other 3 things there were. Chandrilla is awesome. Overall thoughts, amazing. I am so thrilled. I could not be more thrilled with how season 2 has started off. Just really jumping out with a bang. I feel like I think they have really distilled a lot of what the good stuff from the first season was, like the themes that were gone over and everything. They've distilled those really nicely into this 3rd arc, or into this 3 episode arc. To kind of get everybody caught up to speed and everything. Like if you're just jumping in to Andor season 2, I think you understand what the show's about really quickly. And that's a wonderful accomplishment, I think.
And I feel like it keeps the tone of season 1 and it just keeps rolling, right? Like it feels like a continuation of season 1 in a way.
Yeah, it definitely feels... Whereas The Mandalorian, for instance, there's a distinct difference to each season. There's kind of a different premise, that kind of stuff, that, even a time jump. There is a time jump here. It still feels like it's directly coming off the momentum of episode 12 of season 1, Rick's Road. And so, we're just keeping the train rolling. And it is still... It's shaping up to still be probably my favorite Star Wars show.
I knew that it would be.
It is really it's checking all the boxes for me.
I'm so astounded by the production quality of this show. It is incredible. The acting is incredible.
Yeah.
The performance is just so good. Everything about this show is great. But one thing that happened in these 3 episodes that I wasn't really expecting is that there was a lot more humor already present, and then I think all of season 1 combined. There's a little more humor in this that, I don't know, makes it maybe feel a little more Star Warsy just because of that.
Yeah, that was also the case for season 1, in my opinion. I think those first 3 episodes went out of their way to have some, especially episode 1. The moment where B2's getting treated like a fire hydrant by the dogs, I think is in that arc. So, that's kind of similar. I wonder if the humor is going to keep up at the pace that it is right now, or if that's also going to kind of take a back seat as the drama heats up. I don't know, because by the end of this 3 episode arc, I was feeling very differently than when I started, in a good way.
True. True. And just the way that this 3 episode arc ends, you just cannot wait for next week for 4, 5, and 6. And I know we're looking forward to it, and you're probably looking forward to it, listeners. So we want you to call in to our voicemail hotline, 205-259-6675. And we want you to leave your thoughts and your theories about what's going on Andor Season 2, and where do you think that the show is going to be going overall. We want to hear your thoughts, and we want to hear really good grounded theories that you guys come up with on your own. No going to Reddit and finding anything. No, we want to hear directly from your brain and what you're thinking about the show. And you could be highlighted on our voicemail hotline episode coming later in the week. And then, of course, we've got our bonus voicemail hotline episode over on our Patreon, patreon.com/TheMandalorianWatch. You can get access to our bonus episodes as we do Andor Season 2. It's going to be a lot of fun for just $2 a month, and that gets you access to our Discord. But there's one more thing that you can do to really help out our show, and that is going to our Apple Podcast and giving us a 5-star review, because we are running a contest right now where if you give us a 5-star review and you leave the code AXIS in the review and screenshot it and send it to MandalorianWatch@gmail.com, you will be entered in to win a Children of the Watch t-shirt, Andor Season 1 on Blu-ray, and an authentic Rebel X-Wing helmet. You can win all 3 of those things just by giving us a 5-star review, screenshotting it, and sending it to us at our email. You'll be entered into the contest. We're also on social media at COT Watch, TikTok, Instagram, all that. I want to get through this so we can talk about these episodes.
The business is done. Let us get into the meat. We have finished our salad. Let's dig into some steak and potatoes.
So for these first 3 episodes, the director is Ariel Kleiman, and he's new to Andor, and it doesn't feel like he's new to Andor.
No.
This feels like season 1 in a big way.
Yeah, there was a fresh direction style in terms of blocking and how the camera was moving and stuff like that. The first 3 episodes did have kind of a distinct feel in that regard to me, in a good way. I really like
for sure.
Kind of. It almost seems like the visual language of Andor is evolving in a way. It's a lot less like locked off static shots. Almost every shot is moving and stuff like that. So. I don't know. Yeah, like you said though, it doesn't feel. It feels like he's been doing this forever, because like it feels like Star Wars. He's been directing, since Empire.
There's a particular shot in episode 3 that I won't talk about yet that I really thought, I was like, man, that looked 100% real. Yeah. I was just like blown away by it, but we'll get to it when we talk about episode 3. But the writer for all 3 of these episodes is Tony, our guy, Tony Gilroy, the man. He wrote all 3 episodes, and you can tell because just the way that it begins, it almost feels like a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the way episode 1 really starts off, and what a way to kick it off. So you can tell he's writing.
Yeah, for sure. It's masterfully done, setting up the season to be just an amazing roller coaster ride of television.
So let's jump into it. After our title credits, we hear the time grappler hit his gong.
Yeah, my boy, the time grappler.
He's grappling time.
I mean, you gotta grapple with it,
and that's exactly what happens, because it says 1 year later on the screen.
Yep. Yeah. And thank you so much to Andor Season 2 with just cluing us right in of when we are, where we are, whenever we go to a new place. I love that. It doesn't
I do too.
ruin any kind of mystery or mystique. It gives me enough information to be like, oh, what's this new planet? Like,
exactly.
I want to learn about it. Give me more. And like it's been a year since season 1. Like, what's happened? Where is everybody? What's going on? So I don't think there's any reason not to just tell us when we are, tell us where we are, all that kind of stuff. I'm for the location subtitles in Rogue One and Andor.
Yeah, and then we get BBY4, and that means Battle Before Yavin 4. So it's 4 years before Luke destroys the Death Star in A New Hope. That's kind of how time works. Everything before A New Hope is leading up to that, and then everything else after A New Hope is leading away from that. That's kind of our central moment in Star Wars. And If you want to know more about what happened in 4BBY, you can listen to last week's episode, Andor Rebel Alliance 101, where we kind of break down everything that happens in the lead up to A New Hope and how all this weaves in and out. And there's some major Star Wars Rebels connections in these 3 episodes that I cannot wait to talk about. There's a character from Star Wars Rebels in these episodes.
Yep.
And so it's so exciting. So let's jump into this. And we begin this episode on Sinaar. And we open up in the advanced high testing facility as a woman, one of the engineers, I assume, goes to test the systems. And she pauses at one of the consoles for a moment, having kind of a little moment to herself of, should I not do this, before she exits.
Yep.
And you kind of already get the sense of like, she is up to something in this TIE fighter.
Yeah, she's got the aroma of rebellion about her. We'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that we're just getting right into it. It's in media res. The mission's already ongoing. I'm assuming this is kind of the final moments of it. Yeah.
Kind of like a James Bond movie or Indiana Jones movie, where you're seeing the tail end of the last adventure. That's this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also a very interesting I liked what they do setting up Cassian opposite this very new, very fresh person to the rebellion. You get the sense that this is kind of the first mission she's been involved in. She's still got her own, hang-ups and doubts and worries and stuff. And because that's like where Cassian was at the beginning of season 1, right?
Yeah.
And we now see like pretty much the Cassian we know from Rogue One. We still don't know a ton about where Cassian is personally with everything yet. Sure. We get a lot of evidence from just the way he conducts himself, his actions, and everything. But yeah, it's a really good look at, Cassian's been at it for a year. He's been he's had the singularity of purpose for a year, and this is kind of a more actualized version of him. And I thought this was a great way to show that.
Yeah, I love that we can see the growth in him. Yeah. He's not the same person at the beginning of season 1, and I think that's super evident from these scenes. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting, Mac, is that we are on the planet Sinaar, and that name has been in Star Wars for a very long time, and it belongs to Reath Sinaar, the founder of Sinaar Systems, the manufacturer who builds TIE fighters. But something new that Andor is doing is they're calling this planet Sinaar. So I'm assuming that this is just a planet that he owns, right? Like if you're making TIE fighters, you probably have a whole planet that you can just name after yourself to test and build TIE fighters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I guess it's kind of a private island situation.
Yeah.
Or it could just be that they named the company after, like, I guess it's him, but maybe his family name comes from,
because that's where they're from.
He's just the most prominent family on Sinaar or whatever. You never know.
Maybe.
But
yeah,
it's an interesting connection for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's super purposeful.
Yeah.
Like they knew that we would identify that name immediately. And we did. In the cafeteria, as a mysterious and handsome stranger waits, we see he's just sitting there, and we realize that it's Cassian, and 2 snowtroopers walk by as Cassian reaches for his blaster. He's kind of on edge a little bit, maybe not super comfortable being in the heart of the enemy. But then Naya, the engineer, enters, and she's got everything ready and tells Cassian the password is Kafrene. And that's interesting because we know where all of this is leading, because that's where Rogue One starts, is the rings of Kafrene.
Yeah, it's where we see Cassian just murk an informant, just kind of right off the bat. That's how Rogue One, knew this ain't your father's Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it happens, and I'm excited to watch that after all of this, when this is said and done. But yeah, she's clearly nervous and admits to it, and like you said before, Cassian is the one reassuring her when back in the day he is the one that needed the reassuring, and she thinks out loud that her life will change after this. When they're interrupted by someone, another engineer, and after greetings, she whispers into Naya's ear before leaving, Cassian is a cutie.
They're giggling. You know immediately what they're saying just by the.
He's a good-looking guy too. I mean,
yeah. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't?
He looks great in that suit.
Yeah. He could have made a good Imperial in terms of aesthetics.
Yeah. For sure.
But not what's beneath the surface.
Right. Naya then asks if he's been a part of this for a long time, and then asks if she dies tonight, is it worth it? So you got to think about like how heavy this must be for her of like, I could die doing this. And Cassian tells her it is worth it. He says, you'll never feel right unless you're doing all you can to stop them. You're coming home to yourself. You've become more than your fear. And I think this perfectly highlights what you had said earlier. He is now becoming the rebel leader that the rebellion actually needs.
Yeah, like leadership and reassuring people has been a skill that Cassian has exhibited. We see that all through season 1. He's kind of naturally able to cool people down, help them see, the bigger picture and everything. But this is just him coming at it from a place of authority and experience in a way that he's never had before. So it was cool to see.
It's very cool to see. And so after they discuss that, they part and Cassian retrieves his things before heading down to the advanced tie. And just the build up to this scene was really great. I felt the tension just because I knew right away, man, what an opening this is to the season. It sets the tone in such a cool way that I don't think season 1 had quite the opening like this.
No, I think they were... We had this nice small moment to tell us what the show's all about. This quiet conversation between rebel operatives. It centers us kind of on the thematic material, the spiritual heart of the show, and then it immediately delivers on. But this is also going to be really fun to watch, and I think that was important to do because that a lot of people who didn't care for Andor. Season 1, a criticism that I heard a lot was that it was just too slow. Not enough was happening. I definitely don't think that's going to be a criticism of this season, just based on the 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Because stuff is happening.
A lot of stuff is happening. So when Cassian enters the advanced tie, he's confused because he doesn't see a chair until he actually sits down and it just starts popping up behind him. Clearly he has no idea what he's doing in this. And it makes me wonder, did they have nobody else? Are there no other pilots who could have done this?
I don't think there's ever been a cockpit like this before. I
think
they're starting from scratch. It's a brand new experimental system. It's not the little yoke controls that we've seen most TIE fighters using. It's almost like a Pacific Rim style throttle and targeting system. So I think they did send the best person they could because I think whoever was going to have to fly this thing was going to have to figure it out real fast.
Yeah, and it doesn't go well for him at first. And this is kind of where that really unexpected but great humor comes in, because as soon as he turns it on and he thinks he's going forward, he goes straight backwards, hitting the wall. And I thought that was just so good and so Star Wars.
Oh, absolutely.
That's something Han Solo would do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's that first just wait until you see what the Millennium Falcon can do. Punch it, shoo, shoo, shoo,
exactly.
shoo. It's that whole same classic feel.
Yeah.
And seeing that come back a little bit in Andor, it does feel now like it was maybe missing a little bit in season 1.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it takes away from the more serious nature of Andor or the heaviness of the topics it can address and everything. It just kind of gives us a little levity to string us along the way.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
It's nice. I like it. Yeah, so the doors begin closing and Cassian just cannot get it together. It'd be like if I had been tasked to go steal a Formula One car. This is exactly what would happen to me. And then the stormtroopers enter and are just as confused as Cassian at first. They're like, what is going on? And then they start firing on him. And it doesn't take long for Cassian to at least figure out how to take them out.
Yeah.
But then he's almost taken out by a trooper with a bazooka. That was a really good moment too, of like he just looks up and he's like, oh. He has to move the tie out of the way really, really quickly, and he tries.
I like that trooper too, with like the big like fur parka thing.
Yeah.
And it's like a mixture between the shore trooper helmet and the tank trooper helmet, kind
I
of.
think we saw them in Solo, like in the train sequence.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. It looks very familiar, but I agree with you. I love that look.
Yeah.
It's nice. So he tries firing a charge blast at the bazooka trooper. It doesn't work at first, but he finally gets it and bursts out. But he doesn't fly away. Instead, he slides straight down the mountain. Again, kind of more unexpected humor that I really, really enjoy here. It's really good. And then the power shuts down for a moment. And I think, Mac, I'm not sure, but I think these are two Inquisitor type interceptors that are coming to fire at him.
They had like the different cockpits. The wing shapes are a little different. Yeah, they're like the ones that are very atmospheric intended.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think maybe they're shaped to work on like through air better than the vacuum of space. I'm not sure. But they're cool. Somebody can let us know what those are. I'm sure they've got a vehicle designation and all that.
Yeah, they just kind of look like the interceptors that the Grand Inquisitor flies in Star Wars Rebels. And like I'm sure they've got a ton of different types of ties on this planet. Yeah. That's where they make them. So
this is the birthplace of the tie.
Yeah. He, of course, figures it out just in time, he being Cassian. And this is just a great, thrilling opening sequence with the chase through the mountains. Great CG. I felt like this really, really did feel like a movie.
Yeah, I was floored seeing this. Just the action and everything. They really stepped it up in terms of the scale of what they're doing with the action set pieces in particular. Yeah, really impressive. Just a great way to open this thing up.
Yeah, and then, of course, he does get away from the bad guys and makes it off with the advanced tie. And then we cut to our wheat planet that I was thinking might be Dantooine in the lead up to it, but it is not Dantooine. It is Mina Rao.
Yeah, got that speculation put to rest real fast by that little location title. But yeah, I'm totally cool with it being just a brand new location.
Yeah, it's a beautiful planet. I would like to visit here.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like it's primarily agrarian. Seems like the economic and political side of life on the planet may not be so great, but
yeah, maybe that's how life is across the galaxy under the Empire at this time. And
it's almost like the show's trying to tell us that. It's almost like the show's trying to show us how the Empire's bad for the galaxy.
I think that's what they're hinting at.
Do you think that's the takeaway the show wants us to
We've
have?
got a few more episodes to go, but I think we might be heading in that direction for sure.
Okay. All right. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that.
We'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, so we're on Mina Rao, and outside Wilman sleeps in a cot, but you can quickly feel like something is off as the music changes just a little bit. We see B2 charging at a station. Brasso and a woman, who we later learn is Talia, is asleep in bed. But then we see Dr. Gorst look at himself in the mirror before going to reach for Bix. And she wakes up screaming. And I've got to ask you, Mac, do we have a Winter Soldier situation on our hands with Bix?
I took this. First of all, the whole opening of showing the different rooms of this habitat and stuff felt very much like Alien when they're showing the Nostromo before anybody wakes up.
Yeah,
felt very much like that to me. But so by this whole dream sequence, nightmare sequence, I took it as more they were trying to remind us that of everything Bix had gone through, and just kind of reminding us that she has this trauma that she's dealing with day to day, and still, even a year after everything occurred. But it's an interesting thing to keep an eye on, like the whole Winter Soldier theory. Like, do you think they could have done a little more to her brain than just the trauma we saw?
I do. I think that there's more happened with Dr. Gorst than what we're aware of. And the fact that they brought, I mean, it's the actor who played Dr. Gorst back. I feel like this is maybe going to be kind of like a running theme throughout the season.
Yeah. I definitely think this is not going to be the last nightmare we see Bix have.
No, I'm just wondering if like there's going to be like an activation code, like Victor, homecoming, and like all of a sudden Bix betrays Cassian or something. That would freak me out. I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
Yep. B2 wants to tell Cassian what's going on, who Brasso says will be home the next day, and so we kind of get the sense of, okay, Cassian has found them. He lives there with them, but he is off on mission right now. So we kind of establish where our characters were from season 1 and where they are now and what the dynamics are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one thing that was unclear to me until basically the end of this arc. But particularly in the first episode, I was wondering, are Bix and Brasso and everybody, are they like actively engaged in activities supporting the rebellion? Are they just kind of hiding out as refugees?
I think it's both.
It's a little bit of both. I think it's more the latter, though. I don't know that like
Feels that
Brasso and Bix are doing missions like Cassian is,
Right. Yeah, I agree with you.
So I mean, they're obviously
they know about it, but yeah,
they're supporting Cassian, so they're accomplices that way. But it seems like more the thing that they're hiding as like political refugees.
So we catch up with them, and then we cut to Chandrilla in the Mothma estate, and hey, we get to see Chandrilla on screen.
Yeah,
let's go, dude.
Yeah, it's very similar to how we've speculated it would be on screen. We've kind of talked about how it's like, it's a little bit like Alderaan, but with more of like an uppity kind of older cultural feel to it. And
that's exactly what it is.
It's exactly what it is. I would live on Chandrilla, absolutely, as well.
I don't think I could afford to live there, but I would definitely visit.
The cultural stuff would be difficult to adjust to in a lot of ways, I think. But
Sagrona.
We're getting there. We're on our way already. So, but I would live on Chandrilla, I think.
Yeah, it's awesome. So it's super nice. Inside, Lita and her friends prepare for her wedding, and she brings them to show off her dress. This wedding is still going through, and they're only children, Mac. But Chandrillans, what do you do?
There's a lot of Chandrillan culture is like the cheesecake factory of sci-fi fantasy cultures. It is pulling a little bit from everywhere. Mm-hmm. A lot of the cultural like traditions and stuff feel. That's what the Cheesecake Factory is, like 19 different styles of architecture and cuisines smushed together, like all hiding in a trench coat, pretending to be one restaurant. Like,
you're not wrong.
But so like I think that's kind of what Chandrilla is in terms of like the real life inspirations for it.
I see some Japanese influence.
A lot of Japanese stuff going on. Indian culture, I think. In just kind of the environment and stuff, and a lot of the dress. I even get like a version of like the Himalayan area.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of different things all kind of smushed together. But I'm glad we finally got to see it. It was a treat to get to explore.
Yeah, it's super cool. Perrin and Mon greet their guest, and you get the sense that Mon is actually kind of happy. Like she has a levity about her that wasn't really present in season 1. Like she's come to terms with what's happening, and right now she's okay with it.
Yeah, it's like maybe she's just kind of trying to focus on family and stuff like that. I get the sense that a lot of her active work for the rebellion has been on hold. Like she kind of accomplished what she was doing with the Foundation, and she's still managing that, but like she's kind of done, you know.
Feels that way.
But so maybe she's just kind of trying to settle back into civilian life in a way.
Yeah, and okay, so here's where the Star Wars Rebel character comes in. This guy is from Star Wars Rebels. So then Mon is greeted by a guy named Erskine, and guess what? We have seen this guy before in Star Wars Rebels. He is a senatorial aide to Mon Mothma and will later be with her in her escape from Coruscant when the Ghost Crew and Phoenix Squadron escort her to Dantooine in 2BBY. So none of that has happened yet, but you can already watch it on Star Wars Rebels, and he's in it. He is with her in this, and they look similar. Because I knew right away when I was watching this, like, they're really putting an emphasis on this guy. He's a good-looking guy. They, like, what's going on with this character? Because he pops up later in later episodes of 1 through 3.
Yeah.
What's going on? And so then I started, Erskine, where... so we've seen him. Yeah, so he has been in Star Wars Rebels, and now he has made his way to live action, and he is the senatorial aide to Mon Mothma.
Yeah, I love that. I love that despite the difference in like intended audience and medium and tone and stuff like that, that Andor and Rebels are so closely related. They're fairly well intertwined, you know?
I would say that's a really good sign for later in the season, right?
I would think so. I mean, the fact that we're seeing a Star Wars Rebels character in the first episode here, I think that's probably a message that we can expect some
crossover.
It might be some other familiar faces that pop up.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I've got some ideas of who it could be, but we'll see.
So Erskine explains that Governor Clavin has a new ship and there are some parking problems because of it. But then as they're talking, Mon sees something she doesn't like and she goes to investigate. And as she goes down, we see that Vel is there and she asks if she has seen who's there. And she runs into Takoma, but he isn't the problem. It's Luthen Rael. He has arrived to the wedding.
Yeah. And he's not actually even there on Mon Mothma's side.
Nope.
He's there on Davos Skolden's side, which is an interesting kind of twist on that.
Yeah. Oh, and I can't wait to talk about that later.
Yep.
Whenever that happened, I thought of you immediately. It's like, man, they're doing this for us. And it felt personal. But yeah, he's there to meet Davo Skolden, like you said, and they have a bit of a back and forth in front of Davo. And Clea meets with Luthen outside after they all leave. And Luthen asks for an update on Cassian. How did the mission go? But she doesn't have anything other than he just made it off Sinaar. That's all that she knows. And that kind of sets the stage for, I think, these next 3 episodes in terms of, okay, where's the tension building as they have to be almost trapped in the Chandrillan wedding? I really like the stakes here.
Yeah, for sure. You see how everybody's having to keep up all their appearances while, you know, everything in the real world is going on underneath. It's good. I have the all the Mon Mothma centric stuff on Chandrilla, and then I'm assuming we're gonna probably go back to Coruscant at some point. That stuff is just getting better and better, and
dude, this show's so good,
deeper and deeper, and it's like here in season 2, I'm so surprised at the things that I'm like so gripped and wanting more of. You know,
it's because they did such a good job in season 1 of
setting it all up and you know, explaining all those dynamics that are in play. And I feel like now it's just pure delivery on all of that groundwork.
For sure. We cut back to Mineral, which, again, beautiful planet, and Bix and Willman work, and then Bix asks if he's thirsty as his girlfriend, Bila, is coming to talk to him. And I feel like she is meaning that in more than one way.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
Yeah, it's a double entendre, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like that older sister kind of. It's half teasing, half actual encouragement. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picking up.
Yeah, for sure. And we learn in their conversation that they're actually there illegally, and some people are looking down on them for it. Like, that's definitely not something that they want to advertise to everybody on Mineral.
Right.
And as they talk, a Gazanti cruiser appears in the sky behind them. Back when we did the trailer breakdown, I was thinking this was Saw Gerrera's ship, but this is actually the type of ship that Bo-Katan and Din helped steal in season 2 of The Mandalorian. It's that kind of ship that jumps in.
Yep. It's good. I'm glad to see it show up in other places. I like continuity of design and stuff. As much as I love getting new designs of things and new ships and stuff introduced, I always like when we use the palette that's available there to kind of paint the world too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been a long time, apparently, since the Empire has been on Mineral. So a lot of people are shocked that they're now there jumping in.
It's probably why they settled in there in the first place, you know?
Exactly.
It's like, this is a backwater nobody's going to check on. But
right. And then
so they thought.
Then we cut to a jungle planet, and I'm just going to call it a jungle planet for now until later. Until we learn the name of this planet, in case you're just listening for episode 1, but we actually do find out what this planet is. And Cassian arrives at his destination, and he's looking for where he's supposed to meet his contact. And after landing, he exits and calls for Porco, which I thought that was a great Star Wars name. Yeah, Porkins. That's what I thought too.
It's good.
But Porco doesn't answer. And as we later learn, there's a different rebel cell that answers, and there's 15 of them. The 2 de facto leaders, Gertis and Barty, fight with each other as they tell Cassian what to do. And so Cassian's not in a good situation that he finds himself in, because these guys, these 15 rebels, do not trust each other or Cassian.
Right, and they're not expecting him, so he's just some guy in an Imperial flight uniform.
Right.
Like, that's all they know, so like, why in the world would they think anything different?
Right.
So this is almost a worse situation than ending up with the Empire. It's pick your poison either way, but
it's not good.
No,
it's not good. But then we cut to a brand new place that we've never been to before. I looked up to make sure, hey, is this something in Star Wars? Because I've never heard of it. It's called the Malthine Divide, which is a cool name, but we've never been there before. And it's this icy planet with this rotunda type castle. And
I still think it could be like an old deserted hut palace or something like that.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
I like that theory.
Yeah.
That's just some like headcanon background flavor I've got.
Yeah. And our boy Krennic is back, and he's oh my gosh, Ben Mendelsohn, dude, is so good. He has been missed in Star Wars.
Yeah, he just eats up every scene he's in. He is still bringing it. He's got that manic Krennic energy, but he's able to also, even though it's been several years since he's played like an older version, he's playing a slightly younger, slightly less.
Weighed down. He's not as weighed down.
He's not as weighed down. He's not as like feverish in his ambition yet.
Yeah.
You know, he's definitely ambitious, but it's still more confidence at this stage. He hasn't. I don't think his obsession has grown to where it does.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think Krennic goes toe to toe with not only Tarkin and Darth Vader, but in the books he goes toe to toe with Grand Admiral Thrawn and stands to live, and tell the tale. So like. Yeah, he's kind of got like almost a goofiness about him, but I think that's projected in a way of like, I think he knows people see him that way and he uses it.
Yeah, he knows that I think he's the best person to play the Imperial game.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he's good.
Like he doesn't end up winning, but that's for a whole multitude of reasons.
Yeah. But
I think that in his ambition and the scale with which he's manipulating the system to serve his advancement and stuff, it's really good. He's a great character. I want to reread Catalyst now, which was the tie-in book for Rogue One. You get a lot more background on Krennic, and especially his relationship with Galen Erso, the character Mads Mikkelsen plays in Rogue One. That stuff's so interesting.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, but he's back, and he's reminding a table full of Imperials that absolutely no one is to know that they are there, that this project is top secret.
Yep.
And after the window closes, the group watches a propaganda reel of Gorman. And we learn many things about the Gorman people. We learn about the great valleys of Gorman. They make fabric, and they're the best at it. It's kind of like Sweden or France or somewhere in Europe.
It's Alpine. It could be parts of Germany.
Sure.
It's up in the Alps. People were wearing lederhosen if it wasn't Star Wars.
It's definitely in Europe.
Yeah.
And it takes place in World War II for some reason.
It does. They are still in World War II. Even though World War II for the Star Wars galaxy hasn't really happened yet. That's kind of been 4 years.
This is 1938 Europe, right? Yeah. What we're seeing right here.
But also just this propaganda film is so interesting. Like I love seeing this side of the ISB. Of course, drawing comparisons to Nazi Germany and everything.
Yeah.
It felt like Fallout too. The voice that was announcing we all know Gorman.
the Gorman spider.
So
Gorbapods.
Don't be a goofus, be a gallant. It's very that's the energy.
Yeah. So they've got these Gorman spiders that they're known for. That's how they get their fabric. And we learn that the capital city is Palmo. And I think this is very much directed towards us as an audience because this is probably going to be a big thing going forward in the show. Like, we need to know this information so we've got some background because we're assuming we're going to get the Gorman massacre later in the series.
Yeah.
Right? So, I think it helps to build these little pieces up for us to understand who these people are and where they're coming from. And I think this does a really good job with that. But Krennic stops it before we can finish it. I wanted to watch the whole thing. And he informs them that this planet is of great interest of the Empire, but we don't get any more of that before we go back to the jungle planet.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
It's just so nice to have Ben Mendelsohn back. Ben
good.
Mendelsohn, actually, I want to say I saw him in something before Star Wars, before Rogue One came out, and it was Bloodline. It's on Netflix. If you haven't watched that show, I would definitely recommend it. He plays this black sheep older brother who comes back, and it takes place in the Florida Keys, and this family runs a resort and hotel, and one of the sons is the sheriff, and Ben Mendelsohn is the black sheep who has a very sketchy past, and he comes in, and it's like dropping a bomb in the family and everything that happens. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Shout out to Netflix and Bloodline for that ad that I just gave you for free. All right. So this, I like this show. We're on the jungle planet, and things are not going well for Cassian at all. Barty and Gertis continue to fight in front of them. Cassian keeps asking for the pilot he was supposed to meet, but we learn that they actually killed him.
Yep.
And
so context gone.
Yeah.
Nobody's your lifeline is out
It's
there.
not good.
It's out. You got to find your own way home.
Yeah, and they're convinced, like you said earlier, that Cassian is actually an Imperial test pilot. So
I mean, why would they think anything else?
Yeah,
he crashed an experimental TIE fighter wearing a Imperial uniform. It's
Yeah, and the only reason they're really keeping him alive is because they don't know how to fly that thing. So
yeah,
they got to figure it out.
They can make him do it at gunpoint at some point.
Right. We cut back to the Malthine Divide, and Krennic calls what they are doing the Energy Initiative, which I really enjoy. But come on, we know what they're doing.
Well, so in Catalyst and stuff, isn't it? It's Project Starlight, right?
Stardust, right?
Stardust. Well,
Yeah.
one of them is there's the cover project, which is an energy initiative. I think
it's kind of like the Manhattan Project, I guess, in a way of
it'd be like if Stardust was the Manhattan Project. And then the Manhattan Project had another cover operation that everybody...
The Department of Energy.
And that's how the government, like, actually got the resources together to do what they wanted to do. You know. But...
It's, I mean, the plot of Stranger Things that we're explaining right now. But yeah, here's the thing, though. I don't think that this group knows that it's the Death Star.
No.
Right?
I think Krennic maybe knows.
I think he knows. Yeah, I think Krennic knows, but I don't think anybody else in that room knows.
No, absolutely not.
Right.
And I think the reason why he's explaining it as this energy and initiative and stuff is to keep the ruse alive.
And maybe they do, and maybe it's like we have to speak in code because, you know, we don't know who's listening. But I just kind of get the sense that, like, oh, this is for some sort of energy thing that we're going to be building to help the Empire, and they don't really know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Catalyst describes they did that with almost every sector of the Empire. Like the Imperial science divisions were all working on stuff that they thought was... They either just didn't know or they thought it was different stuff that ended up actually being Death Star parts. I don't think any of these folks know that there is a Death Star.
Right. And then we learn that there is a mineral super valuable to the building of the Death Star on Gorman, and it's called calcite. And Krennic needs Gorman calcite. The way he says that, Gorman calcite, and nothing else, because... Only that will help. Like, for whatever reason, synthetic calcite, not going to cut it. It's got to be the real thing.
It's got to be the real deal, the true blue.
And he needs help for a plan of silencing any resistance to the methods of how they're going to have to extract said calcite. Because it's not going to go well for the planet.
Right. They're like, hey, we're basically going to ruin this planet. How do we get everybody to be cool with that? Is essentially what this operation is.
And not even necessarily the Gorman people, but the rest of the galaxy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Gormans have been written off at this point.
Who cares about them?
It's like, how do we salvage the optics?
Yeah.
Is what they're worried about.
Yeah.
Do you think it's actually calcite or do you think it's kyber at the heart of Gorman?
I was wondering that too. I don't know.
I think it could be revealed that it's actually kyber that they're mining and not some other thing.
And that makes sense, right?
Because why else would you only be able to get this mineral in this? Because kyber's like one of the rarest
synthetic
things.
Kyber is not good.
Right.
You want the real deal.
Yeah, because it resonates with the Force.
I've always said that. Like, if anybody's trying to sell you synthetic lab-made Kyber,
no fugazis.
Don't do it. You want the real deal.
Yeah, look, I know a guy, and if you want the hookup, I can send you his direction.
Yeah, call our other voicemail for that one.
We'll leave you a voicemail for
that one. We cut to the jungle planet, and these guys just cannot figure it out of how to fly this tie. And you also know that from the scene that they haven't eaten in a long time, and it's starting to show. They're starting to wear a little bit.
Yeah. And you're seeing just how disorganized most of the rebellion is at this point, right? I imagine this is what most rebel cells are just kind of some kids struggling in the woods right now. They're I kind of get the sense that the reason Luthen is so surrounded in secrecy and everything is he's the connection point between all these other rebel cells and the actual rebellion. You know, that's why he's Axis. Everything revolves around him. Axis.
We cut back to the Malthine Divide, and the type of mining that they're talking about may destroy the planet. So they start discussing how to handle that and its people. Very quick scene before we jump back to the jungle planet. And as the group continues to argue, Cassian does his best to try and convince his guard to get away with him.
Yeah.
And as I was watching these scenes, I was like, God, these guys, I would hate to be with them. Like, I think I would leave with Cassian if I could. Like, let's get out of here because they're hopeless.
It's doomed. They're struggling. They're like arguing over if their meal bars are moldy or not. And
right. They're
they're missing the picture.
Dysfunctional.
This is a kind of hopeless looking situation. And like I don't expect where, well,
We'll get there.
Depending on what we'll talk about them in
we'll
a
get
while,
there. We'll get there. Yeah. So when Cassian points out that they've been there 2 days, the guard is on alert and takes him to the rest of the group. And Cassian realizes that they are the Maya Pay Brigade, and he knows her, and they've been supplying her actually, but he refuses to reveal what cell he's a part of because he's a professional and they are not.
They are not. They are amateurs. This is like when Batman gets like kidnapped by all the I'm not wearing hockey pants. That's the vibe here.
What's the difference between me and you? I'm not wearing hockey pads. And then he gets into his tank and drives away.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
like
that part.
Billions and billions of dollars is the difference.
Yeah. Then we cut back to the Malthine Divide, and they continue their discussions, and they have some guests from the Ministry of Enlightenment. What a way to put like a spin on propaganda.
Yeah, the Ministry of Enlightenment. They're just trying to enlighten the people of the attitudes that the Empire would prefer they have about the world.
Yeah, and they revealed their propaganda efforts. They have made it seem like Gormans are snooty and better than everyone else. They've really built that narrative up in the galaxy, and everyone is kind of buying like, ew, Gormans, they think they're better than us. And they keep going on and explaining like all the things that they've done with their propaganda, and Krennic stops them midway. It is so good. His delivery is like, okay, we get it. Uh-huh. We get it. And I thought that was just such a good scene. I love that scene.
It's like even I don't know, even these like incorrigible ISB folks can't stand the marketing department. It's like, and this is coming as someone who has worked in the marketing department for years. So
yeah,
but that's
like,
that's
we
how
get
that
the
is.
picture. Yeah.
Like, all right, yeah. Let's get back to the numbers.
Right. We cut back to the jungle planet, and Cassian warns them how they're wasting daylight. But then we learn of the beasts that come out at night, and that's no good. And in the cockpit, they cannot figure it out still. And Cassian asks who really is in charge when they find the controls to the guns, and they blow up some trees. We cut to the Malthine Divide, and they're discussing how best to manipulate the situation. We learn that there's going to be a new armory in Palma, which is the capital city of Gorman. And Partagaz's kind of surprised by that news. And then we get an interesting scene between Krennic and Dedra. And Krennic then initiates a discussion with Dedra and wants her real assessment. And he gives this line. I love it. Again, this delivery by Ben Mendelsohn. He says, piece of advice. You think you're hard to read, and you need to get over that. Yeah. I thought that was so good.
It's like just the mysterious vibe. You go ahead and drop it. Like I know you. I see right through you. Let's all get to the point here.
Yeah, and she actually has a solution for the problem that he is looking for. She suggests staging a rebel movement on Gorman and using that to blame what happens.
It's a false flag operation.
Yep.
It's the most classic thing there is.
Yep.
It's not the most classic thing there is. I think that's probably food and circuses, but...
yeah.
But
who knows?
It's one way to maneuver politically.
Then we cut back to Mineral, and Brasso returns, and B2 is still waiting for him. And Brasso explains that the Empire is actually what they're actually doing there. They're doing a spot check. This is like a census of what do we got on Mineral. We want to check and see if we still have everything. But they're worried about their visas and where Cassian could be, so the tension's racking up on that end.
Yeah. Yep.
Then we cut to Chandrilla, and Luthen is getting antsy about Cassian like everybody else, and Clea says nothing has happened yet. Inside, Perrin watches the guest when he's joined by Skolden. Now, I wanted to ask you, he's kind of watching Clea and Luthen talk. Do you think that there's going to be anything? I picked up a little vibe that Perrin might know a little more than what it appears he knows.
I think he does, based on... I don't know if it's in this episode. It may be the next episode, based on
agree.
some
There's
stuff.
some looks
Let's
he
bring
gives.
this conversation back
Yeah.
up when Perrin comes back around.
There's some looks he gives.
It's a meaningful moment here. He's putting some wires together.
I think we don't give Perrin enough credit, and the book Reign of Empire has made me come around on him a little bit. I think there's more to Perrin than meets the eye.
I will say, like, this arc has endeared me to Perrin a little bit more. I'm still, he's, I don't.
Yeah, you don't have to like the guy, but
he doesn't have my approach to relationships. I'll put it that way.
I'll put it that way. Okay. So he's joined by Skolden. They discuss their children and how difficult Lita will be for his son. And then Luthen questions a young naval recruit on where they're going if they're moving off Steerguard. I thought that was really good because he's like, they're moving everyone off Steerguard. And he's like, really? Where are you going?
He gets he does the weird old man curiosity craning.
He does the Hunger Games. It's like he's a character in the Capitol in the Hunger Games.
That's exactly what he's like when he's in his disguise in Willy Wonka mode. He really lets the eccentricity shine a little bit because I think that's part of his disguise too.
Yeah.
People view Mon Mothma as like an ineffective annoyance, and Luthen's just like some eccentric old man.
Yep.
So who cares? Who knows what he does? Because there's no rhyme or reason to it. He's a senile old man.
Right. And then also at this kind of pre-wedding party, we see Vel and Clea talk, kind of renewing and reminding us of their rivalry with each other. You don't get the sense that they're friends or like each other. But I pick up from this conversation that Vel feels a little left out of what's going on with the rebellion right now.
Yeah, I mean, she did just lead this massive operation that, we don't really know what's happened in the year since Aldhani, but, she was head of the biggest, victory, really, the rebellion had thus far, as small as it still was. Yeah. So, I probably would feel a little discarded, too, if I just, that was it? That was all?
That's all we're getting? Yeah,
it's I was ready to die, and now
I'm just doing nothing.
I'm at a party.
Exactly.
What's going on?
Yeah, she wants to do a little more. Then we learn through Tay and Mon's conversation that they have that Tay and his wife are splitting up, and he seems to be taking it really hard.
He's not having a good time.
He's not.
He's getting sloshed. He's lost in the sauce a little bit. He's
and you just don't do that in a Chandrillan wedding.
No.
You
propriety is everything.
Sargona.
Yeah.
Sargona Tima. Right?
Tima. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think that I'm saying that right. I have no idea. They just said it a million times.
Yeah, I want to have that memorized already because I know I will probably have it memorized eventually. But they were throwing a lot of fake words at me real quick. So
so Tay's not doing well. Things are not good in the Coma household, and that's not good for the rebellion. At all.
And then he Mon is realizing with horror how much of a weak link he may be.
Yeah. And he could spill the beans with the way that he's taking his drink. And then they're interrupted because Lita is upset after having a fight with her future husband, and Mon goes to comfort her, and they have a little moment there. And again, you get the sense that things are getting a little bit better for them from where we left off in season 1. And then we cut to the jungle planet, and things are just getting worse. And I am starting to really hate these people a lot.
Yeah.
They're spiraling, and I am not enjoying watching them spiraling. I'm kind of ready, Cassian, figure something out quick, because I do not like these people.
So I'll say, I think the lowest arc for individual storyline for this 3-episode arc for me has been the Cassian stuff.
Yeah.
Not because it's terrible or anything like that. It's just not quite
so long.
as
it's
gripping as
every time we cut back to him.
Been.
It's the same thing.
Exactly. And it's just kind of, I think we get bogged down in Cassian's storyline a little bit. And I think it was just because everything else, the moment wasn't right for him to also get the resolution of escape and everything. But I wish they could have developed it a little further instead of just hanging out where they do for so long.
Yeah, I think I'd much rather watch Luthen question people in his disguise.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like if we were just hanging out, like let's do the crazy wedding set piece. Let's do that. So like that's one criticism I have. Is just that
little
part
too long
seemed
on this.
it was a bottleneck for the arc, I think.
I agree.
But like it was great. I enjoyed it. I get what they're doing with showing how disorganized the rebellion is and like how you need, like they're just repeatedly trying to show the need for an alliance, for some leadership, for that kind of stuff.
That's what we're pointing
the point
at.
that it's all making. And but like I get it, I got it.
I
get the point.
Kind of like Krennic, like we got it.
We got it. Yeah, we got
Thank
it.
you. But the tensions start rising as Crab can't take it anymore, and he shoots the woman who confronts him, and then they all start shooting one another as the two groups form, one at the TIE fighter and one at the crash ship, and that's the end of episode 1.
Boom. Amazing first installment of this season. What a way to just kick the gate right open. Everything is developing in a deep, like, it wasn't just a bunch of flash to get everybody in.
Yeah. It's still Andor.
It's still Andor. Like the substance was all still there, just with a lot of exciting action and stuff like that on top of it.
One way I feel like I think we described this whenever we covered Andor season 1 back in the day when it first came out. But if you're looking at the Star Wars television shows as like other mediums, The Mandalorian is like a comic book. Like it's very flashy, very quick, very to the point, very big, bombastic, like a comic book would be.
Yeah.
And Andor is very much what a Star Wars novel is like.
Yes.
Right? Where you get in the nitty gritty. And it's still like that, I would say. Even though there is a lot more excitement, I feel like.
For sure. I mean, it's still Star Wars. It feels exactly like the world we know and love. We're spending more time in different places is all. But I'm so happy that the outlet of Andor exists for that, just because I eat it up, eat it all up, give it to me. Andor. Yeah.